Welcome friends to Cooking in the Kitchen with Kevin. Today we're going to be making a shrimp lo mein with spaghetti squash. So first I'm going to show you how to cook the spaghetti squash. Then we're going to get our ingredients together, heat them up, and get it ready to serve. So first, let's talk about what ingredients you will need if you want to try this recipe at home. So the ingredients you'll need for this recipe is 5½ ounces of spaghetti squash cooked, a ½ cup of broccoli, or you can use Chinese cabbage, 2 teaspoons of low sodium soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of teriyaki sauce, 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/8 teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes, 7 ounces of shrimp cooked with tails off, 1 teaspoon of olive oil, and 1 teaspoon of sesame seed oil. So first, let's start with our spaghetti squash. So when it comes to the spaghetti squash, you can cook this in the oven, you can do it in the microwave. I like to do it in the microwave because it's a little bit easier. Now how you do that is you cut some holes in the skin on the top and then also on the bottom of your squash. So I usually do two or three long cuts on one side, 2 or 3 long cuts the other side. Now for squash this side, I'll cook it 7 minutes in the microwave on one side, and then I'll flip it and I'll cook it 7 minutes on the other side of the microwave, and then I'll show you from there how we cut it open and take the seeds out. Now that we have our squash cooked, we are just gonna rake the seeds out. And I put it on a paper plate just so that just throw the whole thing away. But spaghetti squash is great for so many different recipes, so many different ways. A great noodle substitute. And I'm gonna let that cool down just for a little bit because it's still super hot, but I got all the seeds out of it. We got it cut in half, and then I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit, but then next, all you do is just rake it out. All right, so we've given our spaghetti squash time to kind of cool off and chill so I don't burn my hand trying to scrape it out because it does get super hot. Remember, had it in the microwave for about 14 minutes. And then what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna scrape some onto a plate. And for this recipe, if you're making 1 serving, you just need 1 cup. I'm actually making 2 servings with this recipe, so I'm doubling everything you'll see in the directions up, since I have a pretty good sized squash and I already have the shrimp and everything made. So what I really need is just 2 cups of spaghetti squash. You can see it coming out there. And what's great is that there is so much in here. So another thing you could do is kind of have it thought out ahead of time. I need 2 cups of spaghetti squash for this recipe. Now that might take up maybe 1/2 depending on how much your spaghetti squash weighs. So now I have this other one over here. So what am I gonna do with this? You can easily take this, get it out, add some Rayo's sauce. So I'm a big fan of Rayo's sauce because it's low sugar and it tastes really good. So use a little bit of Rayo's sauce. Now I've got myself like a spaghetti. I can add like turkey meatballs to that. So really I've made the squash. I got 1 recipe here which is really good. I can take this, add sauce to it, add some turkey meatballs to it, and have another meal for later or another day, which is really great. So just wanted to share that real fast. So we'll measure out our 2 cups to make sure we have enough for this recipe. Push it, flatten it down on in there. We'll make sure we got plenty. So we'll say that's about 1 cup. And like I said, the recipe will have for 1 cup. If I'm making 2 servings, I'm doing double of everything just because this is really good and we'll have it for a couple of days, and I'm gonna use that other half for something else. So, but I just love how easy is this? You know, it's basically got that same texture and style of noodles, but this is mostly water. So you're not gonna get as many carbs as regular noodles, which means after you eat it, you're not gonna have that carb kind of coma or bloated feeling afterwards. You're gonna feel good. You're gonna be able to run to the store. You'll be able to go outside. You're gonna want to, you know, be active after this, versus sometimes after you have like a pasta or spaghetti, you're just kind of like, all right, I'm done for the day, and you're sitting down watching Netflix, and that's how you get stuck watching Tiger King for 2-3 hours, right? We don't want that to happen to you. So let's make sure you're feeling good and got plenty of energy out. So gonna just make sure we scrape that out, get another cup into that. And again, in my recipe book, I use this a lot, where I actually make a recipe and actually put it back in the shell and display, and use that to kind of serve in it, which just kind of makes it cool. So maybe if you're making this for your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, and you kind of want to be a little bit fancier, you can make this recipe, put it back in the bowl, sprinkle some cheese, turn your oven on to like broil, and kind of toast the cheese on top of it. And it just really looks really, really cool. And you're gonna impress whoever you're making it for. And you've already done the work, so not that big of a deal to dress it up just a little bit. So we've got everything we're gonna need for this recipe, so I'm gonna slide this over to the side. So again, we have our spaghetti squash, our broccoli, our teriyaki sauce, soy sauce, olive oil and sesame seed oil, our garlic powder and ginger, ground ginger. And we're gonna get all this mixed together along with our shrimp. All right, so now it's all gonna start coming together. So first we're gonna heat our oils. So we have olive oil and sesame seed oil. Gonna get that in there first, gonna heat that up. Give it on medium to high heat. Get all that in there. Okay. And as that's getting heated up, next we're gonna have our spaghetti squash and broccoli ready to get added in there, along with our sauces and spices. So we get that going. So let's get our spaghetti squash in there cooking, and broccoli. And our soy sauce, teriyaki. Now again, I have double what the recipe shows because I want to make extra. And garlic powder and ground ginger. And we're going to mix this all up, get it nice and coated. Smells delicious. So just going to get this nice and mixed up. And then we'll add our cooked shrimp last. I'm just trying to get it all the sauces and everything in there. Smells so good. Looks great. Got a piece of seed that got away. We'll get him out of there. But pretty easy recipe, guys, once you get that spaghetti squash cooked. Again, for this recipe and even more, you can check out on my Instagram or on my Facebook page. Link tree is on both my profile pages, and I have 2 free recipe books there, and this is one I'll be getting added to my next recipe book. But there's tons of recipes in there. Check that out. I'll have the directions and ingredients also in the comments below this video. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button so this way you know when I've got more videos coming out. And on social media, make sure to follow me on Instagram. And if you enjoy these videos I have, guys, you know, please share, let others see what we're making here in the kitchen. My goal is just really to help inspire people to eat healthy and live a healthy life. That is looking really good. And now lastly, we're going to add our shrimp. got our cooked shrimp in there. And I always recommend and tell people to weigh your protein how you're going to serve to eat it. So if you're eating shrimp raw, make sure that you weigh your proper amount of protein. If it's raw, if you're cooking shrimp, definitely want to weigh, make sure you're getting enough protein, because how much weight it is and density and all that frozen, it's going to reduce when you cook it. So you want to make sure you're always getting enough protein in your meals. So just wanted to share that little tip there. Helped a lot of people get healthy, and regardless of whether you're losing 250 pounds or 10 pounds, it's always good to measure. And don't stress out about it. If I got 1 or 2 extra pieces of shrimp in there, it's not going to completely throw me off. But there is a benefit to making sure you're getting enough and weighing it every once in a while. But look how great that looks there in the pan. Now let's get it served up on a dish. Alright friends, our recipe is done. We are ready to either plate or put it in a bowl, however you like. But our recipe is complete here. I have it ready to serve. Smells delicious, looks great. I'm a big believer in smelling your food before you eat it. It activates that retronasal olfaction part in your head, and what that does is it gets your digestive system ready for what's about to come. So big believer in smelling your food, getting your body ready to digest it, let it know what it's about to have. And it's about to have something really good. So thanks friends for joining me on this edition of Cooking in the Kitchen with Kevin. Remember, follow me on Instagram at KevinBrown_coach, YouTube, Christy and Kevin. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification button so this way you get alerts on when we put out new videos.